One thing I find really interesting about your book is that you argue that framing human rights as a social construction actually makes them stronger. Because I think a lot of people, the view I learned in school was, endowed by your creator with certain inalienable rights, a view that human rights are universal and almost exist whether or not we believe in them or not. And it sounds like that your perspective is different. And I'm curious why you feel differently about that, or is there something wrong with the inalienable view, or is there a problem with that, or how is it that they would get stronger if viewed as a social construction?
The idea that there are self-evident rights, I think, is implausible. Rights are a creation of the human mind, a remarkable creation of the human mind, and a creation that has done a lot of good for us. It's done a lot of bad too. If you define rights, for example, as Northern European Protestants and not rights as indigenous peoples of North America and South America and Africans, then we have a definition of rights that is problematic. Although even the idea that some groups enjoy rights might pose a question: then why don't other groups enjoy the same rights? This working out of rights is the task that we have. And if you regard human rights as something to be discovered, what will you discover? You might discover the prejudices of your own culture, or the fact that the culture that lords it over others it gets the right to define rights and so forth. I believe that while our species is one species in a genetic sense, any single human being could represent our entire species just as well as any other individual human being. But that's biology. When we're talking about rights, we're talking about culture, and cultures are created, and the way we humans create things has to do in part with our backgrounds and so forth. And therefore, and this is my point, we should expect some differences of opinion in various ways. And so I think that different peoples might define human rights in various ways. I believe that those various sets of definitions will overlap to an extent and will not overlap in other ways. But once we have those overlaps, we can think about expanding them. And even if, at the end of the day, we have a plurality of definitions of sets of human rights that don't reduce to one list, we're still better off, I believe, than thinking that someone, generally me, not you, has a special connection to the universe or to the gods where I know what looks very much like a human creation, in fact, is not.
It sounds like there's a danger if you come from the view that rights are something that you discover, if they're actually a cultural construct, that you would assume that your cultural construct is the universal that you get to impose on everyone else.